I'm just going to read for a moment. We're going to do PowerPoint the old-fashioned way. So first of all, we are here to talk about neurodivergency, the Sunflower operating system. My name is Matt Henry. Friends call me Squatch. You can too. So I'm a former higher education administrator. We'll talk about why later. I am A+ and Security Plus certified. I was diagnosed ADHD and autistic. I currently work as IT support as a company that likes putting smiles on its boxes, and I do not speak for them in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. My social security chart looks like a sine wave. Employed, unemployed, unemployed, employed. I speak for myself. I'm not speaking for every single person here who is neurodivergent. Your mileage may vary. Sarcasm and media examples are my love language, and as you're about to learn, language is a painkiller. So I'm going to spoil something for all of you. It's been 25 years since the film came out. At the end of The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis's character realizes after reviewing several flashbacks that he has been dead the entire film, but didn't know it. This is probably the closest thing that I can give to neurotypical people to understand that moment of revelation we have when we as adults get diagnosed as neurodivergent, no matter what flavor of that neurodivergence is. If you've seen the film WandaVision, I had this yesterday and realized, so we're going to hope this works. God, please work. So let's light this candle. Like I said, laughter is my painkiller. What's that causing your latest job loss? It was neurodivergence all along. What's that estranging you from your boss? It was neurodivergence all along. You don't have a lot of friends. You're wishing that your life would end. But you stand and you mask to keep it all in check, all in check. Otherwise your life's a wreck. Downward spirals are a part of your norm. Feeling everything has gone wrong. You've been Andy and neurodivergent. You've been Andy all along. And the moment you overshared and things got weird, I made that happen. Thank you. So, neurodivergence basically means that something up here is wired differently. Not bad, not wrong, but different. Think back to Apple, Steve Jobs, 1997. Think different. We've been neurodivergents before we knew it, or at least they were. Why the sunflower? And this is something relatively new. Realizing that neurodivergency as a concept has only been around for about 25 years now. Hidden disability sunflower is a discrete sign the wearer has a hidden disability and may need additional support. And as you can see, I put one here. If you would like to identify, I have 4. Please come find me. I would rather not take them home. Other language, ND or neurodivergent, we are wired differently or sometimes glitchy. NT, neurotypical, that is short for normal, at least as normal as we can be. So I want to tell you a story. I saw this video on my social media feed, my Facebook, God, about 10 years ago, and it traumatized the hell out of me, but it really put things in context for me. So the video opens up a picture of an aquarium, and in the aquarium we see a rat dropped into the aquarium. And at first it kind of tries to center itself, it tries to swim. It's discombobulated, it feels out of place. The rat starts to swim and then realizes that there's a big snapping turtle right behind it. Threat imminent. The rat tries to flee, but the turtle strikes. This is where it gets gory. It takes the back half of the rat off. The front half of the rat is still functioning and alive. Attacked. Now, mortally wounded, the rat, compromised, tries desperately to escape. Even if it's going to bleed out, it does not want to be eaten by the turtle. Fight for safety and stability. Unfortunately, the rat was consumed and ultimately failed in its task. Now, I say that because for a lot of us who are ND, we live that cycle on a regular basis. Some of us every day, feeling out of place, identifying threat, whether it's real or imagined, feeling attacked, flight, and ultimately, for most of us, failure. So talk to me in ways I can understand, Squatch, because I do that way too much. ND processing hardware, and this is what I love about talking to this group in particular. A lot of you are techies. I can speak on your level. I don't have to translate that much. ND processing hardware, it's functional, but there may be a short or something glitching the CPU, the memory system, the motherboard. Something is just miswired up here. Our internal operating systems can run human software, human interaction software, or in some cases, with like extreme autism, it may not be able to run at all. Many of us have made modifications as to how that software operates. See people who might say, well, he's not right, or he's weird. That's another big one we hear. I found, so if you look on the right, The Greatest American Hero, early 80s TV show. Again, media references are my love language. Basically, ordinary person gets a Superman suit, loses the instruction manual, has no idea how to make it work. He has to use trial and error and experiment. And that's, for a lot of us who are ND, we've got the suit. We just don't have the correct instruction system. Now, another 80s reference, to quote the old show Square Pegs, themed by the waitresses, one size does not fit all. One big thing to understand here, neurodivergence is not a monolith. There is no singular group you can say, you are neurodivergent. There are lots of little groups under this big tent. Autism and ADHD are probably the two biggest. And even autism got reclassified in 2014 by the APA. Until 2014, people like me, they called us Aspies, Asperger's syndrome. And then someone realized that Asperger's syndrome was the test that the Nazis used at the concentration camp to determine, does this autistic person get a simple repetitive job or do they go to the gas chamber? And the APA said, ooh, that's a bad look. It's a spectrum. Asperger's, you're all level 1. Level 2, barely functioning. Level 3, not functional at all. So level 1. ADHD, the same thing. Dysia, dysgraphia, dyslexia, any kind of sensory misprocessing falls under that. Tourette syndrome falls under that. You'll see things like rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Again, like I said, sometimes it can be imagined, but if we feel like we're kind of being left out or cut out, we take it very personally and very defensively and very reactively. Stimming, I wasn't doing it, but I carry this little coin with me, and when I just need that focus, I will flip it in my pocket, or sometimes I will hold it and flip it. Masking is the idea, let's pretend. I grew up, I was socialized by television, 60s, 70s sitcoms and reruns. Okay, here's the situation. How did Darren Stevens handle that? How did Samantha Stevens say, oh crap, I can't twitch my nose. All right, shit. Here, this is how we react. We mask, we put through, and it is exhausting. I didn't wear it, but I have a little pin, my People battery, and it's a green to red. You slide it. By the time after a day of masking, I'm wiped. Meltdowns. We're going to talk about Rain Man because it's the elephant in the room. It's not always screaming and head punching. I always tell my husbands, you know I'm having a meltdown when dead birds begin falling from the sky and you hear a disembodied chorus singing Ave Satani from the oven. That's me in a meltdown. Now, there's been pushback. Some people don't necessarily think that we are legitimate. But neurodiversity, we're all neurodiverse. That's an invented concept. Online quizzes rank second only to Midwestern families who all seem to have an Indian princess somewhere back in their family history. It always seemed to happen during the Trail of Tears, and it was always a princess, not a prince, and it was always a U.S. Army soldier, not just, another Native American. They all claim to have that in their background somewhere. It's a way to get simple cred. Oh, your family's important? My family has an Indian princess in it. Well, neurodiversity, that concept is the same way. If you remember back in 2014, when Black Lives Matter began to reach critical mass, people said, well, wait, all lives matter. That's the exact same thing. Certain people who need attention are getting attention, and people who don't need it want it. Your equal opportunity cake, if you've seen the Family Guy me. Neurotypicals are the norm by which we are judged. Neurotypicals define me, so when I do something for me that's just natural, other people look at me and say, oh my God, he's so weird. Jesus, did you see what you just did? The next one, accommodations. They all want special treatment. If you've seen South Park, there's an episode where Eric Cartman fakes a Tourette's diagnosis, and he has accommodations, and he runs around saying racist, homophobic, sexist, obscene language, and anytime somebody claps down, Tourette syndrome, I can say that. That's not the way it works. Accommodations are not a golden ticket. I make the joke, it's legally prescribed amphetamines. I get speed prescribed. I would much rather give that up and be wired the way everybody else is than have to use ADHD twice a day to get through my day. They're not a golden ticket. I saw Rain Man. Oh my God, you're like Sheldon Cooper. I love that show. Where's your chair? Again, we're not a monolith. That applies to media representations too. The creator, the writer, has never even said that Sheldon is autistic. Other people said, oh my God, hey, he's autistic. Guardians of the Galaxy, Drax the Destroyer, I saw the same thing happen. People said, well, wait, he talks autistic. He doesn't understand metaphors. Another big one, you're making excuses. Stop making excuses. No, we are not making excuses. When we try to tell you about something, why something happened, it's like when a plane crashes. The very first thing that the FAA does, they find the flight recorder, listen to the flight recorder. What was going on in that aircraft when things went wrong? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to explain to you, hey, okay, so I screwed up there. I own that I screwed up. Here's what I was doing. Here's my logic chain. Point to me where Squatch made the bad decision or the dumb choice and said the wrong thing. I can't tell you how many times, especially at my last job, I tried to do that with my boss. It was, you're making excuses. You're making excuses. Stop making excuses. So I did it because that's an excuse. Whatever follows the because, that's why I did it. This was my logic chain, is a way of walking you through, just like when we talk about programming. Here's a line of code. Oh yeah, you screwed that up. It should have been this instead of that. Now, risks for neurodivergence. This is big, this is huge. I have lived pretty much all of them. Social isolation. So first of all, neurodivergent folks, 15 to 20% of the population, a majority of them undiagnosed. I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD until I was 47 years old. I didn't get diagnosed with my level 1 autism until I was 52. Imagine that. You have gone through, again, I use that Agatha all along clip because that fits. You know, you get 7 episodes into WandaVision and suddenly here's Catherine Hahn who's been manipulating things all along. That for me, I look back at so many episodes like, oh my God, if I had known then, if I had known then, if I had known then. Social isolation. Higher degrees of disconnection, especially in adulthood. Everybody gets bullied. Neurotypicals, yes, we acknowledge that. 26% of a population, neurotypicals get bullied. ADHD, 63%. Autism, 50%. The wonderful little unicorns like me, ADHD, autism and ADHD, 72%. Higher unemployment rates, 30 to 40% of neurodivergents are unemployed at any point in time. 8.5% of college-educated autistic adults are unemployed compared to 4.2 for neurotypicals. Longer unemployment periods. When I lost my last job in 2022, it took me 2 years and 2 months to find stable employment again because I would call in for interviews, blow the interview, blow the interview, blow the interview, blow the interview. Less likely to be in leadership position. I've already seen that come up earlier today. 27.2% of ND to 35.5% of neurotypicals. Higher suicide rates, this is huge. And again, I don't even want to talk about how many times I've been there. At one point in time, I had a very good relationship with the Holly Springs Police Department because I would post something on social media and 30 minutes later, they're at my door. There was one officer in particular who she has a love relationship with my dog. It's like, hey, you're okay? Oh, good. Where's Starsky at? Addiction. Again, NDs of all groups are more likely to engage in addictive behaviors. So very quickly, because I know I've gone on. My story, I was always weird, always, never fit in. In 1982, I had my first breakdown with my mother over not fitting in, and this is also my introduction to computer technology, because I told her, it's like, look, computers, I get computers. You know, yeah, I was a Commodore PET, a TRS-80, but it's like, I understand it. I can type a command in, the computer responds. I can tell it to open a file, the computer responds. I try to do that with human beings, and they just... employment roller coaster, oh yeah, this is where the SSI sine wave started. In 2019, I made an aggressive push to get diagnosed after an episode at my last job called the candy kerfuffle. If you imagine a meeting table as a clock, someone came in at the 12 o'clock position and they had a bag of candy. This was November of 2019, right after Halloween. She said, I don't want to take this home. I'm sitting about the 10 o'clock position. So everybody takes candy. By the time it gets to me, I own it. Kit Kats are like my thing. It's just the soft chocolate, the crunchy wafer. You can break the wafers apart with your teeth. There's chocolate. It is just like the ultimate sensory thing for ND folks. So I started cherry picking about 5, 6, 7, the Kit Kats, because I don't want to take this home. That was the instruction set given at the beginning. Someone at the table looks at it and says, God, Matt, do you have enough Kit Kats? Problem 1, threat. Wait, what just happened? Go back, analyze. What did I do wrong? Did I misstep? The person who brought the candy then launched into a tantrum, yelling at me, you glutton, how could you take all of... Flag number 2 goes off. Threat. Wait, what did I do? This person said something, now this person, everybody at the table starts laughing and throwing in little jabs. Threat, and at this point in time, I'm overloaded. I am shut down. I am just shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. I want to get out of there. I do not want to be there. The very next day, I talked to HR and I said, look, I am 99% sure that I am autistic. I need accommodations. And of course, they said, well, if you don't have any diagnosis, we can't do anything. And if you're over the age of 5 or 18, finding somebody who will diagnose you, go find a haystack and find a needle in it. Because finding people who will work with adult neurodivergent patients, again, it's like the blind pig and a truffle. So, yes, well, okay, women, minorities of any sort, but I got diagnosed with ADHD, and the woman who diagnosed me said, well, you know, if I saw you as a child or a teenager, I would put you on the autism spectrum, but you seem to have adaptive behaviors in place. In the back of my mind, I'm like, that's called masking. If I'm masking, I don't, you know, so anyway, therapist number 2, autism comes in, and oh God, I've been talking so long. This is, I get the diagnosis, March of 2020. I go straight to my boss's office. The same guy who was laughing at me, the same guy who said, well, this is a candy kerfuffle. Now that we've got this, let's talk about our business. I put the paper down on his desk. I said, this is what's happening. I know it was like eureka. It's like, this is the problem. This is what's happening. He didn't even look up from his computer. He just waved off like, send that to HR. I don't deal with those things. And 2 years later, I was put on, if you're, many of you are, I'm sure, familiar with Star Trek, the Kobayashi Maru, the unwinnable exam that all Starfleet candidates have to take, a decision that you can't get out of. I was put on a probation that would make the Kobayashi Maru blush, and I lasted about a month. June 14th, I was sacked. So now unemployed, neurodiverse, and over 50. I had ageism working against me. I had ableism working against me. This idea, I am my own, that was the final realization. Yes, I am autistic. Yes, I have ADHD. I have to own that. And when I make stupid mistakes, I will own those stupid mistakes. If I say something, if I overshare, I'm not going to try to play that I didn't. I own who I am, but I need people around me to understand that. All right, just a couple more, I promise. All right, so your spotting guide. I'm going to run through this really quick. One of the things I always say, especially in employment, give your new boss an owner's manual, and these are some of the big things. ADHD, autism and ADHD, and yes, actually diagnosed. People who take a quiz online and self-diagnose, I'm really glad that you can take a quiz, but if you don't have somebody who has that power and ability to diagnose you, you took a quiz. For me, noises, audio disruptions. Where I work at the warehouse right now, I have to have soundproofing up in place because when those conveyor belt jams, I'm climbing the walls. I am always processing, always. Someone said earlier we can take about 50 things per minute. For me, this is processing about 1,500 things per minute. I'm looking around, I'm making eye contact, everything. Everything has to have a reason. If it's not, I'm prone to melting down or at least bristling. I really bristle. I've got 2 people in the front row who can attest to that. They've seen it, they've dealt with it. Systems, order, organization of flow. If that's not there, again, bristle. Small talk is a flight risk. Don't waste my time. I don't care about the small talk. If you have something to say to me, say it. Don't ask me about my husbands. Don't ask me about my dog unless you want to meet either of them. If you tell me something, assume that I've heard it. Yes, I've heard that. Yes, I know that. Again, bristling chances rise. Rooms of strangers are nightmare fuel. If you put me in where I'm going to grab the first person I know and I'm going to hang on to them and I'm going to follow them everywhere, at least until I meet someone else I'm comfortable with, I am blunt and I am direct. That's where I got a lot of my early HR issues from. I remember when I was about 4 years old, my father took me to get some takeaway, and there was a heavier woman there. And I said, yeah, she's fat. He's embarrassed. He's like, no, don't say it. Like, but look, and I was a fat kid. It's like, look at this. I mean, not proportional, but we are blunt, we are direct. We just go from point A to point B. No side trips or anything else. And likewise in terms of movement. Once I've got 260 pounds here, once that gets in motion and I need to get somewhere, if you get between me and my target, it's not going to end well. And I say that because this is not my first time out at ATO, and God forbid, I hope nobody recognizes, oh yeah, Harry, you were that asshole who pushed by me 2 years ago. That's exactly the way that I work. And when I drive, when everything else. Hyperfocus is the big one. I can get on something, and I can't tell you how many times I was at work until 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. I would just focus on something. And then suddenly I would walk in the hall, and it's dark. It's like, oh, shit, I stayed out way too late. And again, remember, these are going to vary for every single ND person. I only speak for myself. Now, how can you help? This is the big one. We are not a monolith. We have many forms. But a couple of the big things I am sick and tired of hearing, and no disrespect to anybody who has said it or will say it, no more voice in the room. Voices can be ignored. I need barbarians at the gate. I need action. And this is an old bad film. Barry Bostwick only did it because he didn't want to be remembered for being Brad Majors. So instead, he chose a bad sci-fi bomb from 1982. But that phrase, deeds, not words, do something. Don't tell me something. Because when I was unemployed, I can't tell you how many times I met someone, oh yeah, I can try to help you get a job. Sure. Never heard from them. Don't even talk to me about recruiters. Next. RSD, stimming, masking, meltdowns. Know what they look like. Because if you see somebody in a meltdown situation, if you see somebody with RSD, stimming, or masking, they're probably not going to tell you. And if they do, listen, because they trust you. RTO, it's one of the biggest stressors right now because a lot of people who are ND, COVID was like a blessing for us. Like, oh my God, I get to work from home. I don't have to deal with people. I don't have to deal with the environment. I had a coworker at my last job at the community college. She was a human sonic assault. I could hear her all the way down at the end of the concrete wall, like she was having conversations in her office in my room. Everybody going back for RTO, there are a lot of people who are panicking right now. 2 more things. We are not living accessories to drive stockholder shares or special donation campaigns. That's how I feel neurodivergence is right now. Oh, hey, let's do a PR piece. Hey, let's put this on LinkedIn. Hey, do we have any autistic or ADHD? Good, get a picture of them, put them up on the webpage. Nothing for or about us without us directly involved. And right now, that's the big thing that I'm seeing. The NC community colleges, this time last year, they said, we're going to do something for people with IDD, intellectual and developmental disabilities. I'm like, great, I've got experience. I can be the assistant director. I didn't get an interview. I got what could best be called as a let him down gently phone call. We need these voices on these committees because we have the lived experience. D. Rainman Neurodivergency. Yes, the film was important back in 1988 when it came out. That was then. We know a lot more now. Stop looking for the Raymonds. Create environments that let us unmask, that let us come out. I acknowledge, I even talked about this on my LinkedIn today. Me doing this presentation, I've crossed that bridge. I'm out of that closet. It is burned behind me. Create environments where people feel safe to come out as neurodivergents, to ask you for assistance. Two more. One of my biggest pet peeve, it's not a superpower. Neurotypical adults have to stop using this metaphor as a way to kids to help them feel better. You're not autistic. You have a superpower. No, you're neurodivergent. And a lot of people are going to look at you very differently because you are neurodivergent. If you're comic book literate, legendary panel, Wanda Maximoff basically wishing all mutants out of the Marvel Universe. For me, no more superpowers. That is a lie along lines with if there's a beloved family pet who's not at the house, oh, Buffy went to the farm. Buffy's out at the farm having a wonderful runs and plays. No, Buffy was euthanized. Tell the kids that. Don't lie. Help us navigate the world's not made for us. And help us let you imagine worlds built for new ways of thinking. Listen to and value neurodivergent experience. We are all different. I guarantee you, I've seen some heads nodding. There are some neurodivergent people, their experience is not like mine any way, shape, or form. I've probably brought things, oh my God, I've never had that happen to me before. Listen to them. It's not making excuses. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. If y'all think I'm weird, what do you think y'all are like to me? I mean, I'm just me, one little person. I have to accommodate all of you. So if you're like, oh my God, he's so weird, he makes me feel so uncomfortable. Welcome to my hell. Be direct with us and expect that same blunt directness back. This for me is one of the reasons I love coming to ATO is I can present like this. I can dress like this. When I was at the community college, I can't tell you how many times I had conversations with people. Hey, how should I dress? How should I groom? Do you think there's going to be an issue with me having a beard? Do you think there's going to be any? Well, I don't know. Look at the people around you. And no, what I need to hear is, yes, professionalism. We can't put it in writing, but this is how you're kind of expected. That's what I need. Because if you tell me to make my own decisions, I'm going to do it. And I guarantee you, they may not be what you want. Folks, I want to thank all of you for being here. I know I've gone long, and I do apologize for that. Rabbit holes are one of the many ND little hells we go through. Again, my name is Matt Henry. Please call me Squatch. It's a lot more comfortable for me. Email matt@bigfootsystems.net. LinkedIn, Henry Technologist. And I am putting work together on what I call the RTP Sunflower Society. Basically, it is an online community for those of us who are neurodivergent in any way, shape, or form, who either need to come together, to talk, to huddle. Please look me up. Thank you all very much.